Hey, what's up guys? Matt with the Movement System. I'm here with Dr. Zaki Afzal, and today we're going to talk about writing a strength conditioning program for cricket. The two of us have actually been working on our own strength conditioning program for cricket for the last few months and diving into the research and thinking about the ways that we're structuring a program. So we're going to talk about our program at the end, but we want to talk to you a little bit about things that you want to consider when you're thinking about writing a strength conditioning program.
So first of all, you have to understand who you're writing this program for. Are you writing it for a person that just wants to get faster? Are you writing it for a person that just wants to look better? Are you trying to build strength? You have to understand what you're looking for. So as a cricketer, you have to be mobile, you have to be quick, you have to be agile, you have to be strong, and your body has to be able to withstand the forces of cricket, especially if you're practicing daily and then having games that can sometimes run a long time, depending on if you're batting or if you're bowling. So you have to understand who are you writing this program for. And once you get the needs analysis done of what this person needs, I think you can dive in and make a much more specific program based on their needs.
Yeah, so I will link some research articles below that we use to write our program that specifically go through the biomechanical needs, the strength needs, the needs of conditioning to actually develop specific conditioning to be able to make runs throughout the entire game and perform well. So we're going to link some research articles below that you might want to check out.
And along with those research articles, what we can also talk about in this video today is how would you structure a program if becoming a better athlete and becoming a better cricketer is on the top of your mind. So with our program, as we started developing it, we looked at cricketers and said, okay, what makes the best cricketers? We know it's the ones that are, first of all, available. We understand that there's no such thing as injury prevention, but there is injury risk reduction methods that we can use to make sure this player is available to play as many games or practice as much as they need to develop skill acquisition, right? If the player is ready and available to work on batting, to work on bowling, to work on throwing, then they'll become better at the skill of cricket that separates the best players from the not so good players. And then on top of that, we want to make sure that the person that's doing this program is improving their overall strength, so we're measuring it at the beginning, and then we have some kind of tests that we can do throughout the program to see are they actually improving. And then we want to make sure we're targeting the ability for this person to throw faster, to run faster, and also to swing the bat faster as well.
Yeah, and we know that cricket involves extreme loads and extreme positions, but that isn't inherently going to cause injury. There's a lot of really healthy cricketers out there, and we know from the research that having a good foundation of strength reduces your risk of injury from those extreme positions. So it's really important that we build strength consistently throughout the year and from year to year to make sure that we're progressing as an athlete, not just in the short term, but also in the long term.
So in the first phase of the program, as you're developing, you probably want to consider an ability to improve the tissue tolerance and the ability for you to handle the workload in the coming months. You don't want to jump into it head first where you're doing really high intensity work that your body may not be ready for. As even if you're an intermediate or advanced trainee, this might be a different training program, so you want to make sure you're giving yourself a leeway of a block of training that you're allowing yourself and your body to get used to these programming movements that we're going to start adding in, and making sure that you're addressing hypertrophy and strength, but in a way that your body can progressively overload, and you can't do that if you're already starting at the highest intensity.
Yeah, so the way that we structured it for our program is 4 weeks of base hypertrophy work. This is going to build muscle mass and build muscle definition, but it's also functional for cricket performance. So it's specific to the muscle groups that you need to actually perform in cricket. Also, with that strength training, you're doing conditioning and field work alongside that. So we're starting to introduce the body to plyometric exercises and conditioning drills. They're going to specifically improve what we need to be better as an athlete.
And then one thing you want to understand as well is that not only do muscles be put through specific adaptations throughout this program, your tendons will change, your bones will change, things will get stronger, because all those things are taking stress not only during cricket but during the program that we're doing as well. So we want to make sure that we understand that these things take time to adapt, and that's why we put a 4-week block at the beginning to address these things, and it's not just a couple workouts before you jump in.
Yeah, so having that 4-week foundation with the highest volume out of the entire program is going to build your foundation, so that way whenever you go into more intense exercises later on, we're actually going to reduce the volume of training. So what we mean by that is that, for example, early in the program, we might be doing 3 to 4 sets of 10 or 12 reps very early to accommodate to a large volume of training. Once your tissues can handle that, not just your muscles, but also your tendons and your bones and everything else that's going to be stressed by that high volume of workload, once you can adapt to that and accommodate to that, Once we're going into phase 2, where we're transitioning more of that hypertrophy into more functional strength and power and becoming more explosive, your body's gonna be able to tolerate that better and not get injured from that, at least not have as high of a likelihood of being injured from that increased workload and that increased intensity in the next phase.
Absolutely. And then once we get into phase 2, which is gonna be focusing on strength and power, then we start slowly turning up the intensity and the type of movements that we're gonna be doing. So now we're trying to build on the hypertrophy and strength that we have and start moving things a little bit faster. This doesn't mean we're going to be, sprinting the whole program. We're going to be doing really high impact stuff, but we're making sure that we're now having the intention with some of the exercises of moving quickly and moving like an athlete. Because at the end of the day, you don't want to be an athlete that trains like a bodybuilder. If we kept you in a hypertrophy phase for the whole program, you might get big, but at the end of the day, most great cricket players don't look like they're in bodybuilding shape that they could jump on a stage. So that's the thing you have to ask yourself too, is as you're programming, why am I training like a bodybuilder when I'm really an athlete?
Yeah, and if you program strategically with phases, you can get the benefits of both. So by doing it that way, if you were to only do phase 1 over and over again, where you're only doing hypertrophy work, we actually know that that could temporarily decrease performance. We see that athletes who are doing 3 sets of 10 on leg press and chest press and a bunch of accessory movements for your arms and your legs, that can actually temporarily impair your vertical jump and your power and your batting speed and even your batting accuracy by about 3 to 7% or so over the next 24 to 48 hours. So that's why we strategically train that a little bit farther away from competition, build that foundation, and then as we get towards the season, we strategically shift towards more strength and power work that won't cause that impairment to performance, but instead will actually potentiate and build better performance.
And then as you build on your strength throughout phase 2, then we start increasing the ability for you to take more impact throughout the body and then really start working on speed. So with speed, we understand that it's not only about understanding the amount of force you're producing, but how quickly can you produce that force. So now we're looking at rate of force development. And rate of force development will dictate the athlete that can produce 1,000 pounds of force, but they can produce it in 1 second, versus an athlete that can produce 1,000 pounds of force in 0.2 seconds. That's going to help with change of direction speed, especially as you're trying to score runs, running from one wicket to the other, and also with the ability for you to throw a ball or swing a bat, right? Remember, the speed, the weight of the bat doesn't change, but the ability for you to swing it faster can absolutely change. So as we're looking at the bat as a pendulum, we don't need to increase the weight of the bat if we can just swing it faster and swing it more efficiently.
Yeah, and the phase 2 where we're strength power, and then phase 3, at least in our program, where we're power and speed and really focusing on those neuromuscular adaptations of becoming faster, is really what's going to set you apart from the average cricketer who might not get all the way to that more advanced training. That training, when we're working on power and speed, is again really going to develop rate of force development and also develop specific movement patterns that we see in cricket.
And with this, we understand that we're going to be more heavily relying on plyometrics during this phase. What a plyometric exercise is when the amortization phase between the concentric and eccentric phase of the exercise are very short and intentionally short. So when you do these exercises, you want to do them with a certain intention of reducing ground contact time with the hopping drills and other drills that you would program to make sure your body can switch from concentric to eccentric as fast as possible. Because that happens during during a time where you're swinging a bat. You're loading up into eccentric phase and unloading into a concentric phase of a swing, and you want to make sure you can do that as quickly as possible, because not only do you want to be powerful, a ball is coming towards you at over 100 kilometers an hour, so you want to make sure you're ready to hit that back.
Yeah, so the power phase and the speed phase typically comes closest to performance. So this is something that you want to do really close to performance, because that's going to show the most carryover to actual cricket metrics, like your bat speed and your vertical jump and your speed to run the pitch distance and other metrics that are very specific to cricket. The reason that we have that foundation is to, again, accommodate to a higher workload and build the foundation, but then we need to have that specific work close to performance so we can see the most carryover and the most athletic nature of those movements. So if you're interested in checking out our 12-week strength and conditioning program, there's a link in the description below where you can purchase it. That's a program that's going to last 3 months of training, but you can also do it multiple times. Our program also involves testing 11 different metrics so that you can see exactly how much you've improved your strength, your speed, your power, your conditioning, and your mobility. If you have any questions about the program or programming in general, go ahead and drop a comment below and we'd be happy to answer them for you. Thanks so much for watching, guys, and we will catch you in the next one.